Anyways, let's get back to this gaming, man. We went on a whole tangent about how some of you niggas ain't real. What's the name? Let's get back to this gaming. Earlier in the stream, I mentioned Madden. Madden community, come to the front. Unfortunately, y'all probably about to take another L. One of the biggest issues, this is crazy to say, right? Ladies and gentlemen, when I was a kid, there were other football games that existed. I feel like this gets lost in the conversation and the hatred for Madden. People often bring up 2K5, I believe, is the greatest football game of all time. Yeah, NFL 2K5. But just so we're clear, there were other football games besides that. There was Madden, there was 2K. You had your Blitz for the arcade. You had NFL Game Day. You had your Street. There were like at least 3 or 4 Sims games. Backyard football, nigga, be quiet. Yeah, NFL Fever. I think that was the Xbox one, right? There was a lot of options for football fans. That's the point I'm trying to make. And then the big evil corporation known as Electronic Arts cut a deal with the NFL that made it impossible for anybody to make another football game. Because fun fact, before that exclusive licensing deal between Madden and the NFL, Madden was good. I always say it, I know this sounds really weird. I don't watch football, but I used to be a Madden player. One of the first games I ever played online was Madden. I think it was Madden 04 on PS2 or something like that. I used to play Madden heavy. I used to talk shit to old heads. Which is funny to say on the eve of my 34th birthday. But I used to be the kid. I used to be a kid on PS2 talking shit to old heads on Madden. Nigga, go take care of your baby. So it was a fun game. It was a fun game. They cut that deal, and once you eliminate the competition, there's no reason to improve, and it just continuously got worse. That license is about to expire. This shit's been going on for nearly 20 years, but the sad thing is, negotiations have opened up to continue the license. Let's read along. For nearly 20 years, when it comes to football games, there's only one option, Madden, whatever, let's get here. The current deal was signed as an extension back in 2020 for $1.5 billion, and it goes through 2025, so it expires next year. There's an option to extend it by a year through 2026 if the target revenue was hit, and by all estimations, that target has been hit. So in order to extend the contract, it has nothing to do with the quality of the game, as long as they hit certain sales, because the NFL is going to get a piece of it, and they want to make sure they get a steady piece of income. So what we're looking at is a contract that expires in 2 years. The 2-year window is at the same point in time when EA and NFL announced their last extension of the Madden license, so where's the current one? Talks are ongoing. Sources have indicated to Insider Gaming that discussions between EA and NFL have been ongoing regarding the future of the game and the license. It said that the talks began later than in the past, a variety of reasons, including concerns from the league if remaining exclusive with one company was the best option. So that's good to hear. That means at bare minimum, they're having a conversation within the NFL and saying, hey, because to be fair, also, the NFL has grown alongside Madden. The NFL is much bigger than ever. I think, at least in the United States, I think the Super Bowl is still the most, I don't even watch that shit. It's still the most watched, you would think it's the NBA, but it's still the most watched sporting event. And globally, it ranks high too. I think it's in the top 5 or top 10 because people from other countries watch the Super Bowl. It is number 1. So the NFL has grown exponentially since they signed that contract. And they're probably sitting there thinking, is it smart to sit here and let one company own the license when maybe we can give it to 3 or 4 and start bringing in more revenue from all over the place, which would also increase competition in games? The league has been very well aware of the public reception of the franchise, the past few years. And one thing they don't like is when the Shield is viewed in any sort of negative light. Protect the IP. That meant that there's added pressure from not only within EA to deliver from the NFL as well. Roger Goodell was interviewed about the Madden. He was asked how he feels about the feedback from gamers. His response was, Madden has been doing great and he's happy with the league's partnership with EA. The NFL doesn't hear or care about gamers whining, just dollars. Business is business. You got to keep in mind though, when the press asks a question, they have to give a political answer because from this article, they're claiming, and Insider Gaming is reputable, they're claiming they have inside sources that there are some murmurs going on. So that's a political answer that you just stated. Because if they're on the fence on whether or not they want to sign the deal or let it go, if there's a possibility they're still going to sign the deal, you don't want to piss off your partner, because then you're going to fuck up your money. You see what I'm saying? So of course that's the answer. I'm only giving this article merit because Insider Gaming has been correct about a lot of different things. After the issues that plagued Madden 23, last year's Madden 24 was viewed as a make or break game from all aspects. Internally, it wasn't just going to come down to how much money the game made in initial sales, but how well it did in retaining players throughout the year. I like to hear that. Not just the reviews, but how long it can retain player counts. The game ultimately exceeded all expectations in terms of both revenue and player base. Through July 2024, 11 months after this game's release, Madden 24 remained a top 10 game on both Xbox and PlayStation, which is true, because anytime I bring up the most played games on Xbox and PlayStation, it's always in the top 5 or the top 10 of the monthly charts. While Madden Ultimate Team is a big reason for that, the internal belief is that the game wasn't good at all. People would have left it by then. Sources went as far as to say is that Madden 24 was felt by many as a turning point for the franchise, with a feeling that Madden 25 will kickstart things in a bigger way. Did y'all like Madden 24? I ain't play that shit. Is that true? Did y'all like that? Because I'm not gonna lie. If for the last 15 years that shit has been garbage and they finally released a decent one, this is the wrong time, bruh. We got too much evidence to suggest once that contract is signed, they're gonna go back to bullshit. Hell no. People in the chat are saying, fuck no. I skipped it. I don't play that shit. Basura. That shit basura. I'm gonna need y'all to keep it together. Give the license away. I want to see EA lose that shit. Because let me tell you something. Hey, let me tell y'all something, right? Fuck the sports shit, right? If EA loses the exclusive license to the NFL, not only does the Madden community benefit because you're going to get better games, the greater gaming community benefits, right? Let me explain to you why. One of EA's biggest revenue generators, not even it's FIFA and fucking Madden. So if you fuck up their money with Madden, not only do you gonna have to get a better Madden, they're also gonna have to make sure all their other games are working. You remember with Jedi Survivor, how it wasn't optimized? They gonna be on Respawn. That shit, y'all need 3 more months to optimize the game. Take your time, because we need these sales. Them reviews are gonna matter a whole lot more. Yeah, the Apex community, everybody benefits. So my theory, my tinfoil hat theory is the Madden community, at least for EA games, you're ruining it for the rest of us. Fuck them. Fuck them, bruh. Live coverage coming back. We might finally get a great Battlefield. Yeah, we might finally get another. Imagine, we were talking about this on the podcast. There's an article that came out. Andrew Wilson, the CEO of EA, said Battlefield, this next Battlefield will be the most grandest, biggest Battlefield of all time. I was like, nigga, who gives a fuck? You know what would impress me? You know what would impress me for the next Battlefield? Release a game that works. Since I've started playing Battlefield since Battlefield 3, 4, Hardline, and whatever other ones came after that, every Battlefield is damn near blue screen my PC at the launch. It always takes like 3 to 6 months, maybe even a year to fix the fucking game. These EA niggas ain't real. So we need to get it together. How confident is EA? Going back to the contract discussions, many who spoke on the condition of on it being anonymous, I can never pronounce that word, anonymity, fuck y'all, due to the nature of the subject, say that they believe an agreement on a new contract will come within the next 12 to 18 months. Damn, they're confident. They're confident. Stop buying the game, chat. Stop buying the game. We have no, that's one of the reasons why college football is so good. It's been a while since they made it. They had to make it good. We have no reason to believe we still have the exclusive license, said one source. Another said, at the end of the day, Madden is making more and more money each year for both EA and the NFL. The sales continue to go up, and it would be crazy to have a deal not continue. You Madden players are fucking psychos, man. Of course, there is an idea that Madden's numbers are only what they are because of the exclusive license. Fans who want to play as their favorite NFL team or player really have no reason or choice if they want a realistic game. That's true. That's just the way it is right now. What do they want us to say? One person with an EA said, adding that they don't mean anything negative by it. Every source who spoke was adamant, though, the developers care about what the players want. They aren't just trying to get by with each game. They are actively doing what they can in time that they have in between releases. What do I always say? It's never the developers. Artists want to paint a good picture. Of course they want to give the fans what they want, but there's two reasons it's hard to do it. A, which by the way, there was a time when sports games didn't come out every year. This became a thing because of fucking Madden. Even Madden, I don't think it came out every year when it first started coming out. They have to release it annually because these CEOs, and also matter of fact, it's one reason. It's the fucking CEOs. It's hard to make a good game and release it every goddamn year, man. I'm of the ideology, why not do a biannual release? If you don't want to do live service, do biannual. Release Madden 2024, then the next year for 25, have like a big update with 1 or 2 new features, some roster updates, whatever. And then, you know, for 26, that's going to be the big update to give them time to really implement their ideas. We don't like, I think people will be fine with that. Who needs a fucking football game every year? Don't boycott, just don't buy the game. I mean, that's a boycott. I'm not buying the game. Like, what are you talking about, Sauce? I don't think the people who marched on Selma, I don't think they should boycott the buses. Just don't ride the bus. Like, what are you talking about? Like, this is the same thing, bro. The people who staged the sit-ins, they just don't eat the food. He said, don't boycott, just boycott. That's a boycott. As far as the possibility of losing the exclusive rights to allow more simulation games from competitors, I was told it's not impossible, but there's honestly no way someone else could compete with us for the rest of this generation. It's the rich getting richer. Stop buying the Madden cards or whatever the fuck that shit is. I gotta clear my sinuses. Neti pot. It's only when I start talking it gets worse. It's fucking annoying. It's just my life, man. It's just my life. What is this? Meta closes Ready at Dawn Studios. The studio developed Lone Echo, The Order 1886, and God of War Chains Olympus. Fuck, man. And Ghost of Sparta. Those were the PSP games. The Order 1886 was a victim of racism. This is crazy. Kind of off topic, but I don't know if you've seen iPod King Carter's 2K community rant, but he echoed a lot of your sentiments about the issues with the community. That's what's up. And that's good. That's good. People are waking up. People are waking up. The DEI of 1886. Oh, they made Daxter. I didn't even read that part. Damn, they made Daxter. Fuck. That was a good studio. That was a good studio. I just bought Daxter, man. I just bought Daxter. RIP, man. Fucking Facebook, man. Some bullshit. The Order 1886 was a victim of racism. It's a joke, by the way. It's a joke. A content creator once said that. 2K community is so brainwashed. They're in the same predicament as the Madden community. We got some Warhammer gameplay. Online games may take a hit if strike continues. What's this? Let's see. Online games likely to be hit if the strike continues, says the union. Online games could be the first to be hit by the video game acting strike if the dispute is not resolved quickly, according to a union boss. For those not familiar, SAG, last year they had a strike for the writers and the actors. The gaming division, which protects like the voice actors, developers, stuff like that, they're striking for protection against AI as well as better payments. But you know, I'm always in support of paying people a living wage. So if that means I don't got to play whatever game is coming out later, I don't care. I have plenty of backlog to play. Pay people what they owe. Stop defending these billionaires. That shit is. I seen a TikTok. It was a dude running like a dog, and then the caption was, people running, the average person running to defend their favorite billionaire. That shit is weird. Performers in the industry walked out on July 26th after a failure to reach an agreement over AI. Members of the union, which represents over 160,000 performers, recently staged a picket outside the offices of Warner Bros. 1 of 10 games are negotiating with the union. They said their offer gives workers meaningful protections, but SAG disagrees. Has the stripes video games for being made. Though the strike is focused on a single issue, the rules around it are a little less clear. Games that began development before September 2023 are officially exempt from the strike, meaning they have to continue to make it. That's why Grand Theft Auto 6 is protected. Grand Theft Auto 6 said, I read this article too. They said Grand Theft Auto 6 is technically protected because the development started before September 2023, but there's no guarantee that it won't be delayed either, because SAG also said they'll protect anybody who decides not to work on it. Like, technically they have to work on the game, but you don't have to. Because video game development takes a long time and it's very secretive, the effects on games might not be clear for a while. What up, Jomi? Duncan predicts that live gaming, a term used to describe regularly updated titles like Fortnite and Apex, will be affected most quickly. Those are games that are constantly rolling out new games at all times, new content at all times, and they rely on subscribers and content refreshes. So live service games. Good, kill them. Oh, this strike is great. This is great. That makes sense. This is a blessing, bruh. Electronic Arts CEO Andrew Wilson reportedly told investors he didn't expect the strike to affect his company. Yeah, shut up, nigga. We about to hear some PS1 era voice acting in 2026. Right. No, don't do that, villain. I thought those games were exempt. Well, yeah, it's kind of sticky because Fortnite obviously came out before September 2023, but I guess the argument becomes, let's say they're working on a new season. That new season, the development started now. So I think that's why it's protected by the union. So this makes sense why live service games are going to get fucked over. But I say good. Fuck them. I'm tired. This era, I believe live service games need to be left in the PS4 and Xbox One era. This new generation should usher in new types of gameplay, new types of experiences. Every game doesn't need to last 10 years because to be frank, every game is not good enough to last 10 years. Next season's gonna look like Apex. That blade is enchanted all of 2026. That blade is enchanted. The Mortal Kombat, yeah, a shift is coming. Pay what you owe. That's what I say. Pay what you owe. We get the gist of this one. Please stop with the open world survival early access games. Please get them the fuck out of here, man. Let's look at this new Warhammer gameplay. This game's coming out in September and it's looking fire. Warhammer, oh, it's a preview, my bad, from GameStop. There's a media blitz today. People are showing off their previews and showing their first impressions of what they think of Warhammer. This is a game coming out in September.
From the very start of my time with Space Marine 2, I was taken aback by the sheer scale.
Did the Fortnite model ruin modern gaming? Unintentionally. I don't think it was with malice. I think what Fortnite was doing in Epic Games is they were trying to, because to be fair, what they did is innovative with the battle pass, right? But what happens is when you do something that's so mega successful, naturally everybody wants to copy it. Kind of like I make the same argument with someone like Mr. Beast. I think Mr. Beast unintentionally had a negative effect on YouTube in content creation, where Mr. Beast made what he wanted to make with this kind of fast-paced editing, retention style things, as well as like making everything into a spectacle. So there was no malice behind it, but what happened is it generated a lot of imitators where everybody feels like they have to do the same exact thing, and it kind of stifles creativity, if that makes sense. So I don't think there's any malice behind what Fortnite did, but it did have a negative effect, if that makes sense. Cause and effect.
Atmosphere and attention to detail that was being showcased. The pride and care emanating from just this snippet of the grim dark world that Saber Interactive has built is palpable, and something I believe will resonate with both newcomers to the franchise and longtime fans of Warhammer 40k. During my hands-on preview of Space Marine 2, I was given access to a couple of non-campaign PvE missions, as well as a campaign mission from around the halfway point of the story. The mission opened with Titus and his squad exiting their ship onto a landing pad with an Imperial Guard staging area just beyond. Through this section, I saw an exciting glimpse of life among the war-torn Imperium. Militarum units bowing and kneeling at the sight of Space Marines. A commander delivering...
Man, there's a video talking about the scummy tactics of Mr. Beast. I've seen the video. It's like an hour long. Like, basically saying that like he faked all the contests and he doesn't really be giving away shit or something like that. I don't know. None of my business. I was just strictly talking about content creation.
Bring a rousing speech from atop an enormous Baneblade tank.
Never watched
a
him,
commissar
so I can't
delivering
speak on that.
punishment
Shout out
to
to Creative
soldiers
Cloud with the
found
sub.
guilty of cowardice. Troops burning mounds of Tyranid corpses with flamers, and so much more. This small section really drove home how much effort has gone into the game's world building, and immediately made me think that Space Marine 2
Is this going on
could very
console?
well
Yeah, it'll be on PC and console, and I believe it'll have crossplay as well.
be the most
there's a
authentic
multiplayer aspect
Warhammer
too.
40k game we've ever seen. And since I know so many have been curious, it's an experience that you can indeed play through with or without your helmet. In my last preview, I said that Space Marine 2 really makes you feel like a Space Marine, and it's a sentiment that has only been further reinforced. But so far, this is also the first game that really makes you feel like you're in Warhammer 40k.
He's saying this might be the Warhammer game.
A large part of this is thanks to the
station.
game's combat. It definitely demands more of you than 2011 Space Marine, but it also retains the same feeling of
What do you mean by tabletop game? He said, you PS4 niggas need to let it rest. I feel like, yo, PS4 niggas is a racial slur in gaming now, like casual. These PS4 niggas, bro. Like,
grimdark action that made the original great. This makes for a more thinking Marines hack and slash game, which works incredibly well. However, and it may be because the mission I played was set at the midpoint of the campaign, I did initially feel somewhat overwhelmed by the variety of inputs, enemies, counters, abilities, and resources that made up my first Savage Melee. But after learning the language of Space Marine 2's combat, the blend of ranged firepower and close quarters battle quickly became much more fluid and so satisfyingly brutal.
Oh, that's fire.
Wide swings of a chainsword can cleave through compacted hordes of surrounding Tyranids.
My one question would be, like, I hope that it's challenging. Like, I hope it's not like Dynasty Warriors, more like Gears.
While parries, dodges, counters, and gun strikes add complexity and are vital if you want to emerge from each bloody maelstrom unscathed. Parryable attacks will flash through the blue circle, and nailing one of these can immediately kill a smaller enemy or interrupt a larger foe's combo and leave them open for attack. Unblockable attacks are denoted by a red circle and must be dodged with a quick backstep or full-on combat roll. Perfectly timed dodges or parries can open up enemies to a gun strike, which is a counter that delivers a devastating pistol shot at close range. Lighter enemy attacks won't give you the same warning, but after an hour or so of battle, I found myself able
That's interesting. A shooting game with a parry mechanic.
To instinctively react to those moves too.
This game
it was at this point
I think it's
when
linear.
Space Marine 2's flow of combat began to almost remind me of Sekiro, albeit with a chainsword swinging superhuman from the far future rather than a katana wielding shinobi. Chaining together attacks,
I ain't playing it on PC anyway, guys.
Parries and dodges will quickly leave enemies exposed and vulnerable to executions, killing blows that the Space Marine 2 team has obviously delighted in crafting. Each execution seems...
A reviewer I trust said you had to be strategic, balance ammo, melee, and fighting bosses. So you won't be able to spray and pray. You're going to have to use the parry and the dodge, and you're going to have to use physicals. That's good.
More visceral and satisfying than the last, from tearing limbs off of Tyranid warriors to ripping apart the sealed power armor of the traitorous Thousand
Gears
Suns.
of Sekiro.
Executions are also vital to the flow of combat, as each one will refill a portion of your armor. Previously, in the original Space Marine, executions would heal you, but this time health is returned through the use of consumable stims that must be found throughout the level, forcing you to be more mindful of your resources even as you charge into the fray. There is also much more strategy to be found in Space Marine 2's combat. A horde of Tyranids with varying enemy types can offer both different challenges and opportunities. Do you strike at the smaller mobs to thin the horde and give you more room to maneuver, or do you weather their blows and focus on the larger warrior enemies with the goal of cutting their synaptic link and in turn taking down
servers already? I feel that.
There may also be ranged enemy types to consider, firing strangling thorns that can slow
this game might attract a new
poison,
audience,
or even hovering.
Especially I feel like this might attract the Helldivers audience, especially what's going on in that community. They're probably looking for like a new co-op game.
Ropes buffing nearby creatures with a psychic link, requiring you to break from the immediate close quarters battle to close the distance or engage these Xenos with ranged firepower.
Lie, this is
While
like
I only saw a portion of the combat that Space Marine 2 has to offer,
the only thing is like it looks like Game of the Year potential in terms of quality, but I can never see it winning just because like this isn't like a mainstream game. This is good. I feel like this is gonna be like one of those if you know type of games, almost like a what came out last year? Like an Alan Wake 2. Not gameplay wise, but like this is gonna be like a gamer's game.
Ballet
or
of
Remnant
Battle
2 type
only grew
shit,
more
yeah.
varied and more satisfying across the demo. As I made my way deeper into the mission, more tools and weaponry
Unfortunately,
became available,
Game of the Year is
such
also
as
a
the
popularity
jump pack,
contest,
which allowed
too.
me to
It's a
fire
mix of
hails
quality
bolts
and
from up on
popularity.
high and dive back into combat with a devastating strike from above. During last year's Space Marine 2 preview, there were only Tyranids to fight. This time around though, Chaos has reared its ugly head and I was able to see the Thousand Suns Chaos Space Marines in action, leading to a lot of intense scenarios. One moment saw me enter a giant plaza where Thousand Suns and their summoned demons and cultists were engaged
Yeah, this
with the
reminds me a little bit of
Termagants,
Remnant
Hormagaunts,
2.
and warriors of the Tyranids.
Which is
I
good.
believe in Astartes would call that a target-rich environment. Following that carnage, the campaign portion of my preview culminated in a boss fight with a Thousand Sun Sorcerer, which not only provided a completely different gameplay experience, but was also one heck of a visual spectacle. As he cast spells and traversed across the arena, I noticed horrific eyes emerging from the walls and ceiling of the room. Shortly after, the ground below him turned to liquid that rippled towards me and my squad.
So it's gonna have cool level design.
Perfect visual realization of Warhammer's warp magic. The battle was completely different to the rest of the demo I played, but these visual details, as well as the attacks and the overall design of my final foe, were another element that really drove home Space Marine 2's attention to detail and its drive to bring so many of the elements of Warhammer 40,000 to life. Finally, as a massive Warhammer fan, I couldn't help but nerd out and get excited about the visuals on display in Space Marine 2. Not only were there
Definitely
tons
one of the best
little
looking games of this
details
year.
in the characters, armor, weapons, NPCs, and environments for Warhammer fans to pick apart, but everything looks bloody fantastic too. From the explosions of your bolt rounds and the streaks of gore as you cleave an enemy in two, to the massive skies filled with flying enemies and dank, swampy jungle environments, Space Marine 2 is shaping up to be a feast for the eyes, albeit a brutal one. It combines all of these elements to create a cohesive and authentic...
What I love about this game too is this looks like a game they just wanted to make, and what I mean is like they said, let's make a game that's gonna push hardware. Like this looks like a next gen game. That's what I like about it. Like the visual blood effects and shit like that. That shit and the lighting. Like this is the type of stuff that I need more developers to do. Like say, I know the PS4 has like 200 million or whatever the number is in the wild, and you gotta say fuck them, bro. Like make what the fuck you want to make. Because like I said, one of the biggest issues, people saying, oh, a lot of these games don't look next gen, is because they keep making them for both platforms, both eras, and like that's holding gaming back.
Feeling grimdark world. After the campaign, I also got to experience a couple of Space Marine 2's co-op missions. The Operations mode takes place alongside the main story of Space Marine 2, but sees you play as your own customizable Astartes in a squad of 3. One of the missions, aptly named Decapitation, saw my squad springing a trap on a Tyranid hive tyrant, knowing that doing so would disable the Tyranid swarm that Lieutenant Titus was fighting in the same campaign mission I just completed. These replayable PvE missions being so tightly connected to the main story makes them feel much more impactful. The chatter between squads and commanders are mirrored in each mission, so you feel like you're part of the bigger picture, even when you're replaying them as different classes or taking them on with a more casual approach as you try out new weapons or difficulties. From what I played, the main objectives of these missions do remain largely the same through each playthrough, and each will generally take you about 30 minutes on the standard difficulty. Variety mostly comes from Space Marine 2's AI Director, changing up the enemies as it responds to your class and playstyle, or even springing surprise ambushes. I was actually surprised by how varied the class system was, as each had access to a different arsenal of weapons, unique perks, abilities, and filled their own niche on the battlefield. The Tactical Marine is your bread and butter Astartes, and has access to the most ranged weapons as well as a chainsword and an Auspex scan ability that both reveals enemies and makes them more vulnerable to damage.
Does this game have homework?
The Assault class...
Nah, I don't think there's any dailies or monthlies in this. This is a single player co-op game. It has online multiplayer, but this is not a live service game from my understanding.
Lacks any ranged weaponry beyond a pistol, but has access to the most powerful melee weapons, as well as a jump pack that allows them to take to the skies and assault groups of enemies or priority targets from above. The Vanguard, meanwhile, is lightly armored and more suited for close quarters combat and focusing on single targets, with access to bolt carbines, a melter rifle, which in Space Marine 2 mostly functions like a superheated shotgun, and a grapnel launcher ability that allows them to propel themselves towards foes with a diving kick and engage with their giant dueling knives. which makes this class great for folks looking to get up close and personal with their enemies. Bulwarks are the tank class and forego a main ranged weapon in favor of a giant shield that they wield alongside pistols and powerful melee weapons. Their special ability is to deploy a chapter banner, restoring armor to all squad members nearby. This makes them perfect at clearing hordes, staying in the thick of the fight, and soaking up enemy damage. Snipers are, you guessed it, equipped with a selection of long-ranged weapons such as the Bolt Sniper and Las Fusil. They're great at starting off fights with a couple of long-ranged headshots into elite enemies, and their camo cloak ability allows them to turn invisible for a period of time, which is useful for breaking contact, flanking, and picking off pesky ranged enemies. Lastly, the heavy class wields the big guns like the Heavy Bolter, Heavy Plasma Incinerator, or Multi-Melter. Their weapons are so heavy that they don't actually get access to a melee weapon, instead having to swing their guns into the jaws of foes or deliver brutal kicks to an enemy's body. They are, however, the best at clearing hordes from range and delivering heavy firepower, with their Iron Halo ability creating a barrier that can block incoming ranged damage, allowing you to keep your finger on the trigger. All of these classes are cosmetically customizable, although from my time with the game, I feel as though it takes a little too long to earn some basic customization options. For example, if you want to buy the color Caliban Green to swap your chapter to Dark Angels as I did, you first have to use your well-earned credits to buy the chapter icon, and only then can you obtain the color. However, the credits you use for hot new paint jobs are also required for purchasing class and weapon perks as you work to progress through their respective trees, making this currency even more precious. Obviously, this was a preview build, so numbers may be tweaked, and there may be other methods to earn said credits in the final release, but it did cause some concern over how much grinding may be required to craft your Astartes to your taste. Overall, Space Marine 2 is shaping up to be a more than worthy successor to the 2011 fan favourite. Everything that made the original Space Marine great is still here, but as a more considered and evolved version of itself, all of which comes together to make Space Marine 2 feel like both a familiar old friend and an exciting new experience.
I wouldn't know.
Space Marine 2's release date of September 9th is now just a few weeks away. And
September 9th. No, it's not live service.
While there are a few elements that we've yet to see, such as the PvP mode Eternal War, there are already a lot of reasons for gamers and Warhammer fans to be excited about Space Marine 2. As someone who has been a huge 40k fan for over half of his life, I have never been more excited about a Warhammer video game.
The way he's talking, yeah, this sounds like a Game of the Year contender. The way he's talking, he say he's stealing kills. He's a journalist, chill out. Yeah, the way he's talking, it sounds like Game of the Year material. This is a day one cop. Definitely gotta hop on Best Buy, pre-order some games. I gotta sit down, man. The fall is coming. I gotta sit down and figure out what's my budget and figure out what we're gonna be buying, what we're gonna be playing. But this is a day one cop. I'm probably gonna get a hard copy of this too. Yo, shout out to Make Out Rose with the sub. Appreciate it. This ain't on Steam. It will be on Steam. It'll be on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. It's on everything except for the Switch because it'll blow up.